Have you ever wondered how a boy who started with nothing but a dream managed to turn a modest garage project into a brand that now rakes in a shocking $14 billion annual revenue? But how did a poor boy from England create such a successful company? Let's explore it all in today's story. In this video, we will explore the story of Henry Royce and how he created a brand that went from broke to making $14 billion a year. So stick around and don't forget to subscribe first. Born in 1863 to a modest family, young Henry didn't have silver spoons or fancy toys. Instead, he had an insatiable curiosity and a yearning for something grander. His childhood was common as muck, and you couldn't have guessed that this unassuming boy would one day be the driving force behind the world's most luxurious car brand. Henry's early years were a real struggle buggle. He wasn't one for sitting in a classroom, and his formal education didn't exactly make him a smarty pants. But you see, what Henry lacked in book smarts, he more than made up for in good old-fashioned grit. He was determined to make something of himself. The Royce family was far from affluent. They ran a flour mill business that, unfortunately, was battling financial hardship. By 1867, their business had fallen into bankruptcy, leaving them in dire straits. It compelled the Royce family to pack their bags and head for London for employment opportunities, leaving behind the quiet countryside for the bustling city. Although he was just a wee lad of 4 years old, Henry was no stranger to hard work. His first job was odd. He earned a few pennies each week by scaring off pesky birds on a local farm. Even at such a tender age, he was beginning to understand the value of money and the importance of contributing to the family's financial well-being. In the face of these trying times, Henry's father, James, sought work in another flour mill, but the family's debts loomed large, casting a long shadow over their future. Things couldn't have been more down in the dumps, and just when you thought they'd hit rock bottom, tragedy struck. When Henry was only 9 years old, his father passed away, leaving the family in a state of grief and financial turmoil. Henry's world was turned upside down. His dreams of a carefree childhood were dashed, replaced by the harsh reality engineering. Despite his limited formal education, Henry Royce imparted crucial skills. By the age of 19, he secured a position as the chief electrician for the Maxim Weston Electric Company, marking a significant milestone in his journey. However, as fate would have it, in 1884, the company faced a downturn and went under, leaving Henry unemployed once again. No matter how hard he tried, he couldn't catch a break. But this time, Henry didn't resign himself to the job hunt cycle. Instead, he made a bold decision to launch his own business. Despite his humble beginnings, he believed there was more to life than these struggles and aimed to become a prosperous entrepreneur. Now, let's give credit where it's due. While Henry Royce played a pivotal role in the Rolls-Royce story, we can't overlook the other half of the equation, Charles Stuart Rolls. Born in London's posh Berkeley Square in 1877, Charles had quite a relaxing start. He was the youngest child of Lord and Lady Langattock, and with a family name like that, you're born with a silver spoon in your mouth. Charles wasn't your run-of-the-mill aristocrat, though. He had a taste for engineering and a knack for standing out in a crowd. His penchant for engine tinkering earned him the endearing nickname Dirty Rolls. In his university days at Trinity College in Cambridge, he became the first undergraduate to own a motor car, a Peugeot no less, after a tour to Paris. At 18, mind you. Graduating in 1898, Charles began his career on a steam yacht, and then with the London and Northwestern Railway. But let's be honest, his heart wasn't in steam engines and railway schedules. He was more interested in pioneering, motoring, and salesmanship, probably in that order. With a hefty financial boost from Daddy Dearest, he decided to dive into the motor trade. Now, let's not forget that Henry Royce was having his adventures in entrepreneurship. His company, F.H. Royce & Company, flourished, and he made a name for himself in the electrical world. But that little curiosity engine was still purring inside him, and it was about to propel him into a different realm, the realm of cars. In 1901, Henry decided to soup up a second-hand, two-cylinder Docaville car he'd acquired. It was a decent set of wheels, but Henry had grander dreams. He wasn't just going to upgrade it, he would build his car from scratch. Henry was a stickler for perfection, and he'd spotted some hiccups in the Docaville. He probably thought, if you want something done right, do it yourself. By the end of 1903, he had his first petrol engine ready to roll, and a year later, he was cruising down the streets in his very own Royce 10-horsepower motor car. Henry Royce had shifted gears from electrical components to horsepower, and the automotive world was about to be shaken to its core. Fast forward a couple of decades, and Henry Royce's life had turned into a full-fledged automobile adventure. His first car had taken off like a rocket, and he wasn't about to slam on the brakes. No siree, he was out to create not one, not two, but 3 new cars. Now you might wonder, what did he do with all those cars? Well, one went to his partner in crime, Ernest Claremont, probably as a thanks for keeping me company on this wild ride gesture. The other, Henry sold it to one of their shareholders, Henry Edmunds. Now this Henry Edmonds guy, he was quite the wheel dealer in this story. We'll get back to him in a minute. Now, Charles Rolls had been in a bit of a fix. He was stuck peddling those imports in his car dealership and yearned for something more, something British. Henry Edmonds, the charmer he was, decided to play Cupid. He set up a meeting between Charles Rolls and Henry Royce, thinking he'd just toss them in the same room and see what happens. And did he unleash a game changer? Charles Rolls, who'd always fancied 3- and 4-cylinder cars, took one look at Royce's 2-cylinder beauty and was smitten. Within minutes of laying eyes on it, he knew he'd found his motoring soulmate. So, Charles took Henry Royce's car for a spin, and without missing a beat, he said, "I'm in. I'll sell as many of these as you can build." And just like that, the wheels were set in motion for one of the most iconic collaborations in automotive history. In short, Rolls was captivated by Royce's 2-cylinder car, and the two men formed a partnership that marked the birth of Rolls-Royce in 1906. With that ad, Claude introduced the tagline that would become synonymous with Rolls-Royce, "the best car in the world." But marketing alone can only take you so far. Both Henry and Charles were committed to delivering the highest quality possible. When it came to hard work, Henry Royce was the stuff of legends. Charles bought a Wright Flyer aircraft and took to the skies, racking up over 200 flights. In 2010, he became the first person to complete a non-stop double flight across the English Channel, a daring feat that made him a pioneer in aviation. Only 32 years old, and became the first Briton to die in a plane crash. This untimely loss marks the end of the short-lived Rolls-Royce partnership. Henry Royce had a strict "no airplanes please" policy for years. But World War I had a way of changing even the most stubborn minds. In 1914, Rolls-Royce rolled out the Eagle engine, which was a soaring success. It powered half of the Allied planes, and from there, the Rolls-Royce aviation legend took off. While their engines conquered the skies, their cars rolled off the production line like hotcakes. By 1921, there was a 3-year waiting list for those coveted Rolls-Royces. To meet the demand, they even set up shop in Springfield, Massachusetts, waving the American flag of craftsmanship and luxury. A man who truly worked until his very last breath. On his deathbed, he sketched an adjustable shock absorber, scribbled on the back of an envelope. He even had to ask his nurse to send it to the factory for production. Sadly, the letter never reached its destination before he departed to the big garage in the sky. But the legacy of these remarkable men endures. Rolls-Royce continues to symbolize luxury, excellence, and unrivaled craftsmanship. Their net worth in 2023 is more than $22 billion. So, whether on the ground or in the air, Rolls-Royce's legend keeps rolling, and the company today is one of the biggest companies in the world. Are you inspired by the story? Well, who wouldn't be? What lessons did you learn from it? Let us know in the comments section, and don't forget to subscribe. See ya!